Podcast for C1 level students, The Watcher in the Woods, a chilling C1 story. Welcome to tonight's special podcast episode. It's a chilly night, the perfect setting for a gripping story. In this episode, you'll join two friends as they share an eerie tale that will send shivers down your spine. Before we dive in, let's introduce a few key words and phrases to help you follow along. 1. Eerie, strange and frightening. 2. Creak, a sharp, squeaking sound, often made by old wood. 3. Silhouette, a dark shape or outline seen against a light background. 4. Whisper, to speak very softly, usually in secret. 5. Goosebumps, small bumps on your skin caused by fear or cold. As you listen, see if you can spot these words in the story. There will be more words you may not know to write them down and learn them. Now, grab a blanket, turn down the lights, and get ready for a thrilling tale. Let's begin.
Okay, so get this, a listener sent in this story
Oh.
called The Watcher in the Woods.
Okay.
And honestly, just reading it gave me the chills.
You know, it's funny. This one, it's not like your typical ghost story, you know.
Right.
It's got this like almost fairy tale vibe to it.
Yeah.
But like way darker. you
Yeah,
know?
like those warnings your parents give you about the woods, but with this
Yes.
like extra layer of creepy to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, we start off meeting this group of friends,
Okay.
heading out to this like super remote cabin for the weekend. Sam, Rachel, Jordan, and Mia.
Yeah.
And immediately you pick up on how different they all react to being out there.
Yeah. It's like Sam's already like, oh, this place is isolated, and everyone else is like,
Yeah.
oh, peaceful nature vibes.
Right.
Like the story's telling us who's gonna be the scaredy cat.
Well, yeah, and it's that classic horror movie setup, right?
Right.
But I think it also kind of makes you think about how, like,
Yeah.
our own anxieties can make us more vulnerable to, you know, being afraid.
Like if you're already a little creeped out, you're
And we
more
had so-
likely to see a ghost.
Yeah, and then, you know, comes the inevitable campfire scene.
Oh yeah, here it comes.
Someone's got to tell a spooky story.
Right.
And this time it's Mia with her story about this this watcher, and that's when things get really interesting.
Okay, so what about how she describes this watcher stands out to you?
Well, first, just the name, you know, the Watcher,
Yeah.
it gives you this feeling of like constant surveillance,
Well-
like someone's always watching, even if you can't see them.
Yeah.
And then there's the rule she mentioned.
Yeah.
Don't look outside after midnight.
Like a hard and fast rule.
Right. It's not just like, oh, be careful. It's like,
Right.
don't do this thing.
It's like a dare almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you think you're so brave?
We won't look outside.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and of course someone's gonna break it.
Well, yeah, that's where the suspense comes in, right?
Mm.
Like, the story is making us wait for someone to mess up.
Right.
And then we get to see what happens.
So how does the story kind of build up to that breaking point though?
Okay.
Because I remember feeling really uneasy even before anything overtly scary happened.
It's subtle, but it's effective. You know, the author uses all these sensory details
Okay.
to create this atmosphere of unease. Like the description of the cabin itself, you know?
Oh.
It's shadowy, isolated. The windows seem to watch them.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like the cabin itself is like a character in the story.
Yeah, like a creepy character.
Yeah, and then there's how the friends react to Mia's story.
Yeah.
Rachel, the skeptic, is like, pish, whatever, but even she seems a little unnerved.
Right.
And then Jordan, the practical one,
Yeah.
he's all focused on keeping the fire going, like he's trying to hold back the darkness or something.
Yeah.
But then there's Sam, he's already on edge, and
Yeah.
Mia's story just totally freaks him out.
It's like it plants a seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he's primed to experience something really terrifying.
And he doesn't have to wait long, does he?
Nope, not at all.
Later that night, as everyone's getting ready for bed,
Mm-hmm.
Sam hears this tapping
Oh, no.
at the window.
Oh, no.
And of course,
What time is it?
it's just past midnight.
Of course.
The rule's been broken, and something bad is about to happen.
It's that classic horror structure, but it works.
It does.
Because, you know, we're all afraid of the dark,
Oh, right.
of what might be hiding just out of sight.
Right. And it's not just any tapping either. It's described as like
Yeah.
insistent, rhythmic,
Oh, yeah, like it's trying to get his attention.
like a signal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so Sam's torn,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Oh, I bet.
He looks at the clock, 12.03.
Oh.
He's already crossed the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course he can't resist. He has to look.
Oh.
So he gets up, goes to the window, and what he sees,
Oh, tell me.
well, let's just say it's not a friendly neighbor.
Okay.
So the story goes from like this vague feeling of dread
Mm-hmm.
to this like in-your-face, terrifying experience.
Yeah.
The way the Watcher's described is so vivid, you know?
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
Tall, gaunt, unnaturally long limbs.
Yeah.
Eyes that glowed like embers.
Well, that's so creepy.
It's like playing on our deepest fears, you know?
All right, like this is something inhuman, something that doesn't belong.
He just doesn't belong.
Oh.
And the glowing eyes especially.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's peering into Sam's soul.
Right, like it sees his fear.
Yes.
And it knows he broke the rule.
Exactly. And then just when you think it can't get worse, when Sam looks again, the figure's closer.
No.
Yeah, it's like the story is telling us.
Yeah.
This isn't just Sam's imagination.
This is real.
Right? This is something real and it's coming for him.
Oh, God.
It's like that feeling you get in a nightmare when you realize you can't escape.
Yeah.
And that's where we'll leave off for now.
Okay.
With Sam face to face with this terrifying Watcher.
Right.
And the rest of the group totally clueless.
Oh, no. So, we left off with Sam totally freaked out after seeing the Watcher.
Right.
But it's interesting what he does the next morning.
What's that?
He doesn't say anything.
Oh, right. He keeps it to himself.
Yeah.
I mean, who would want to admit they saw a monster?
Exactly.
Especially when you're not even sure if you believe it yourself.
Right. And this is where things get really psychologically interesting,
Oh, right.
There's this thing called the need to belong.
Okay.
It's like we're hardwired to want to be accepted by our group.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So admitting to seeing something that everyone else might think is crazy, it can really threaten that sense of belonging.
So it's not just about being scared. It's about the social consequences of telling people.
Exactly.
Which I think makes Sam's situation even more relatable.
Yeah, we've all been there, right?
Totally.
Where you're like, oh, should I say something?
Yeah.
But then you're like, what if they think I'm weird?
Exactly.
And the story really plays with that. So Rachel, being the perceptive one, she notices Sam's acting strange.
Yeah.
And she gently asks him about it.
Yeah, she's like, are you okay?
Yeah. And that's what gets Sam to finally open up.
Makes sense. He needs that reassurance.
And her reaction is really important here.
Oh, how so?
She doesn't dismiss his story completely.
Okay.
But she's also cautious. It's like she's trying to find a logical explanation.
Yeah.
But she's also open to the possibility that something weird is going on.
Which is a tough balance.
It is, and it's what makes her such a great character.
Yeah.
She's like that part of us that wants to believe in reason.
Yeah.
But also can't ignore when things get really strange.
So how did the other friends react?
Well, it's kind of like a perfect example of how people deal with the unexplained.
Okay, I like that.
So Jordan, the practical one, he's like, oh, Sam, you're just tired,
Just your imagination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty common reaction, right? When something challenges our worldview, it's easier to just explain it away.
Oh, totally. It's like that Occam's razor thing, right?
Exactly.
Simplest explanation is usually the best.
Yeah, but sometimes the simplest explanation isn't the whole story.
Right.
And then there's Mia.
Yeah, the one who told the story in the first place.
Exactly.
So now she's like, oh no, maybe I made this happen.
Yeah, she's dealing with some serious guilt and fear.
Right. Yeah, she unleashed something.
And that brings up another interesting thing about folklore. The idea that stories have power.
Like you can make something real just by talking about it.
Yeah, it's a concept that's in a lot of cultures, and it definitely adds to the creepiness of the story.
Oh, totally. Like, are they cursed now because they heard the story?
Right.
And speaking of curses, things definitely escalate from here.
They do. That night, the tapping comes back.
Oh.
But this time, it's not just Sam who hears it.
Everyone hears it.
Everyone.
Oh, that's creepy.
It's like the Watcher is saying, okay, you've all heard the story. Now you're all part of it.
And the tapping is different too, right?
Yeah, it's described as way more intense, louder, more insistent, coming from everywhere.
It's like it's surrounding them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The author is using sound to make you feel totally trapped.
And it's at this point that Rachel's skepticism starts to break down.
Yeah, she grabs a flashlight and heads for the window.
What do you think is driving her at this point?
I think it's a mix of things.
Okay.
She still wants to believe there is a rational explanation, but I think she also feels responsible for her friends.
Like she has to protect them.
Yeah.
And what she sees.
Well, more like what she glimpses.
Right, so brief.
Yeah, it's this perfect example of less is more in horror.
Okay.
We don't get a full description of the Watcher.
Right.
Just a quick impression,
Yeah, like something pale.
Yeah, humanoid, lurking in the shadows.
It's like our imaginations fill in the rest.
Exactly, and that's always scarier than anything that author could describe.
Oh, totally. It's like that primal fear of the unknown. And of course, Rachel freaks out, drops the flashlight, and then everyone's panicking.
Yeah, they realize they're in real danger.
Right.
And they barricade themselves inside the cabin.
Okay, but that's not going to stop the tapping, right?
Nope. It's everywhere now.
Oh, no.
The walls, the roof, even the floorboards.
It's like the cabin itself is under attack.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think that's really symbolic.
How so?
Their safe space, their refuge, it's being invaded by the very thing they were trying to escape.
It's like their sense of security is completely shattered.
Exactly. The Watcher has gotten inside.
Oh, no.
And there's nowhere left to hide.
Okay, so they're stuck in this cabin, right?
Yeah.
The tapping's coming from everywhere.
Yeah. And this is where I think the story gets even more interesting.
Oh, how so?
Well, it shifts from like the external threat of the Watcher to like the psychological impact on the characters.
Yeah, I see that.
It's like their fears are feeding off each other.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, totally. Like a feedback loop of terror.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you see that in some of the dialogue.
Oh, yeah. Like where...
But there's this moment where Rachel just loses it, you know?
Yeah.
She cries out, "What does it want?"
Oh, yeah.
And it's Mia.
The one who told the story.
Right, who's been so quiet since it all started.
Yeah.
She's the one who answers.
What does she say?
To be left alone.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that line always gives me chills.
It's like the first time we get a sense of the Watcher's motivation.
Right, and it's so simple but so creepy.
Yeah, like this primal need for solitude.
Right.
For spaces that are untouched by humans.
And maybe even a little resentment
Oh, yeah.
towards the people who intrude on those spaces.
Exactly, and that's what I love about this story. It leaves things open to interpretation.
Right.
It's like we can project our own fears onto the Watcher.
Make it whatever scares us the most.
Yeah, and just when the tension is at its peak, the tapping stops.
Silence.
Complete silence.
Which is somehow even more terrifying. Right, it's like the calm before the storm.
Yeah, like you know something's coming.
But you don't know what.
Or when.
And then it comes.
Oh no. A voice from outside.
Oh no.
Low and guttural.
I don't like this.
Saying, "I see you."
Okay, yeah, that's nightmare material.
It's like the confirmation of their worst fears.
All right, the Watcher isn't just there.
Yeah.
It's intelligent.
It knows they're there.
It's watching them.
And it can talk.
And the way it says, "I see you," it's not a threat, really.
Yeah.
More like an observation.
But a very creepy observation.
It's sizing them up, and their reaction is so primal.
They freeze. They hide.
They try to disappear.
Yeah, like they're being hunted.
It's that instinctual fear, you know, of something you can't understand.
Exactly.
So they wait all night, terrified.
And it's not until dawn breaks.
When the sun comes up.
Yeah, that they finally feel safe enough to leave.
It's like daylight is a symbol of safety.
Oh, yeah.
Reason, a return to normalcy. But even though they escape the cabin, they don't escape the experience.
Right, and that's where that final image comes in.
Yeah.
The pale face watching them leave from the cabin window.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the Watcher's still with them.
Yeah, and it leaves us with so many questions.
Right, like was the Watcher real?
Or was it all in their heads?
What did it represent?
Was it protecting something?
Or was it something evil?
And I think that's what makes the story so good.
Yeah.
It doesn't give us any easy answers.
Right.
It just leaves us with this feeling of unease.
Like we've only scratched the surface of something truly creepy.
And I think that's what makes folklore so interesting. You know, it reflects our fears,
Yeah.
our fascination with the unknown.
It lets us explore those things in a safe way.
Exactly.
So what do you think?
Yeah.
What did the Watcher represent to you?
I'd love to hear your thoughts.
What really stuck with you after the story ended?
Because, you know, the best stories are the ones that make you think. The ones that start conversations.
Those that keep you up at night.
Right.
So on that note,
Yeah.
we'll leave you to ponder the mysteries of the Watcher in the Woods.
Sweet dreams.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive and sleep tight.
Comprehension questions. Theme and atmosphere. 1. What do you think the Watcher represents? 2. How does the story explore the concept of fear and belonging? Character reactions. 1. Compare how Sam, Rachel, Jordan, and Mia react to the strange events. What do their reactions reveal about their personalities? 2. Why does Sam choose not to tell the others about what he saw at first? Plot development. 1. What's the significance of the rule, "Don't look outside after midnight"? 2. How does the tapping add suspense?
Take your time to listen and do these exercises. Remember that practice is the key to learning. Pause the video until you have finished, and then you can see the answers.
Comprehension questions. Possible answers. 1. Theme and atmosphere. What do you think the Watcher represents? The Watcher could symbolize fear, guilt, or the unknown, challenging the character's sense of safety and belonging. How does the story explore fear and belonging? Fear isolates the characters, while their inability to fully trust each other erodes their sense of belonging. 2. Character reactions. Compare how Sam, Rachel, Jordan, and Mia react to the strange events. What do their reactions reveal about their personalities? Sam, cautious, protective, avoids panic. Rachel, analytical, skeptical, relies on logic. Jordan, impulsive, masks fear with action. Mia, intuitive, fearful, attuned to danger. Why does Sam choose not to tell the others about what he saw at first? To avoid panic and because he doubted himself, reflecting his cautious, protective nature. 3. Plot development. What's the significance of the rule, "Don't look outside after midnight"? It establishes danger, creates tension, and tests the character's restraint and fears. How does the tapping add suspense? It's a subtle, recurring reminder of danger, keeping the tension high and the characters on edge. Today's podcast explored The Watcher in the Woods, its eerie atmosphere, mysterious plot, and suspenseful twists. A chilling blend of the supernatural and mystery. What stood out most to you?
Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.
Easy English.